Good evening, everyone. Welcome to DU Chats. And tonight we've got Kurt. I'm just going to wait for him to join. We did do a little tester earlier, make sure he understood how to do it because he's quite new to this. So Polyvance have joined. So that's his company, but he's actually going to join us with his own tag. There we are. Evening, Kurt. Morning to you. So I'm going to just send you a request. At the bottom of your screen. Rex, Claudio. Hello, everyone else who's joining us. I'm looking forward to tonight's chat. So if you don't know much about plastic welding, this is definitely the chat for you. Hello.
Hi, Wayne. How are you doing?
Very well. And yourself?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Great. So everyone, this is Kurt Lammon from
Polyvance.
No. Do you know what? I've just Polyvance. I know, but as I was saying that, I just forgot your book downstairs and I wanted it up here. Never mind. We'll go that. So I meant to bring it up. So Kurt, please, before we get on to my questions, and I got quite a few questions for you, can you give us a little bit of history about yourself and how you got to where you are now?
Well, yeah, I'd like to talk about a little bit about that and also the history of the company, because the history of the company goes back beyond where my history starts. So
okay.
The company itself was started by a gentleman named Jim Sparks. You can see him here.
Okay.
He started, he was an insurance adjuster and a body man back in the 1970s. And he saw back in those days the opportunity of the urethane bumper covers that were on all the domestic cars back in the 70s. Mustang, Camaro, all those cars. They had these urethane covers that there was no way to repair them back in those days. So he invented the airless plastic welder in 1981 and brought it to market for the first time, and it allowed body shops to actually do repairs on the old urethane bumper covers. And this is anybody in the United States in a body shop has probably got one of these into their toolbox with an inch of dust on top of it. This is the classic old Model 3 plastic welder.
That's the original.
That's the original, yeah. Wow. So so Jim started it from scratch. He actually helped ICAR and create the first plastic repair program here in the United States. Mm-hmm. And then he had all these ICAR instructors out there training on his plastic welder. So kind of a nice sales tool for him. So he built the business up through the 1980s. And in 1995, my brother and I and our father purchased the company from Jim because he wanted to retire. And we've maintained a focus on plastic repair and plastic welding specifically. So personally, my background is I'm a mechanical engineer with a minor in material science. And so the plastic repair stuff is, I kind of understand it down to the molecular level, which is kind of nice. And then I worked for a while for a jet engine company. But then when this opportunity came up to work with my family, I jumped at it. So I've enjoyed it ever since. Been almost 26 years exactly now. So I've been doing it for that long. So
can we just take a step back? So bless you. Jim, so the plastic airless welder, that was Jim's concept. It did not exist before Jim made it.
Correct. Yeah, there was plastic welding existed, but it was only the hot air welders.
Right.
And hot air welders can't be used on urethane because, as you know, polyurethane is a thermoset material. So it's not meltable. So you can't actually use it. If you try to weld polyurethane with a hot air welder, it's very difficult to keep the heat from breaking down the parent material. So his innovation was allowing the welder to be used kind of like a hot melt glue machine. You're depositing a thermoplastic urethane onto the surface and acting like a hot melt glue, so you're not overheating the base material. So the airless welder, excuse me, is basically a little soldering iron you see with a little welding tip on there. And this urethane rod has been around for a while. It's kind of turned into, it's not clear anymore. But anyway, this is a thermoplastic urethane, not a thermoset urethane. So thermoplastic urethane's got a very sticky, it's like a glue. Right. And that's what you would use. And then he also recognized that there were other plastics that were popular back in the day, like ABS and polypropylene, polycarbonate. So he packaged it with several different welding rods and also a variable temperature control, because urethane is actually pretty temperature sensitive. You can't use it at a complete, high temperature. So this little kit here was the foundation of Urethane Supply Company, which later became Polyvance. We rebranded the company in 2016.
Do you know what? I remember that, because I actually remember when I sort of first came across you before, long time ago, must have almost be 20 years ago, it was Urethane Supply Company, USC.
Yep.
And yes, and I kind of remember it was USC in the logo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a USC. Well, might be able to see the logo. This is the old-fashioned logo right there.
Urethane Supply Company. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny though, because we would Urethane Supply Company. Jim's idea was, we supply what the body shop needs to repair urethane bumpers, so we're Urethane Supply Company. But we would get calls from people just about every week. Hey, I need some urethane for my skateboard wheels, or you guys sell urethane foam? No, we don't supply urethane like our name says. So, and also, pretty much nowadays, urethane is kind of a obsolete material for bumper covers. So, kind of dated us back to the 80s. So we decided to make a clean change and with a new name, and it's Polyvance, Advancing Polymer Repair. That's all we do. So that's our new tagline.
And it flows well. I mean, for me, you've been, when I was started out in the industry, if it was anything to do with plastic repairs or dash repairs, it was always USC and then the Polyvance later on. So I've always known you as the leaders in the industry on this sort of these kind of kits and concepts. So things are changing though now, because one minute. So how did the book come about?
The book?
Yeah.
Oh, the book Plastic Repair that I wrote?
Yeah. Because it's a brilliant book. For those who don't know, you can't get it in the UK, but if you go onto Amazon USA, so actually just type into the Google search Amazon USA, you'll come up with it, and then put in Plastic Repair, Kurt Lammon. He's actually written an amazing book with all the information you could ever need. It's like a Bible, really, for plastic welders. So how did that come about?
Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, I was actually contacted by a small publishing company in New England that they actually focused on motorcycle repair, or motorcycle enthusiasts. And they published a series of booklets, most of which are travel guides around the world, around the United States for motorcyclists. But they thought, hey, we got a lot of motorcycles with all this expensive plastic on it. So they must have done some research in the early days of the internet and found me. And they invited me to write a book on the subject. So as far as I know, it's the only kind of textbook out there about how to repair plastic bodywork. So yeah, that's still available. It's in its second printing. And actually there was a German version that was translated. So it's out there somewhere. But yeah, glad to know it's still out there. And they asked me to do the revisions for the second printing. I thought, well, it looks pretty up to date. Although right now I would probably put some information in there about nitrogen welding, which has kind of been new since the second printing was done.
Yeah, and so back on that book. I mean, that book is brilliant because it does cover everything. Like you said, it doesn't have the nitrogen, but if you don't know about plastic welding, you want to get into it, it's definitely worthwhile looking. Do you know how many you've sold to date?
I wish I knew. Wait, no, I don't. Yeah, I get a little royalty check every month. It's probably like $8 or so. So I haven't been able to retire on mine. But yeah, it was kind of neat to be able to do that. And yeah, I'm glad to have provided some service to technicians and budding plastic repair technicians out there.
Yeah, I know I've shared it around, and whenever I've seen it available on Amazon, I've sort of sent the link to friends. Right, get it quick, it's available.
Thank you.
So nitrogen, because you briefly brought up nitrogen plastic welding there, and this is something we're going to talk about. So when sort of did that come into our industry?
Well, and I'll tell you the story. In the early 2000s, or prior to that also, in the United States, a large part of our market was bumper recyclers. There were specialists in the U.S. that did nothing in the old days. They did nothing but chrome bumper repair. Okay. And then when the plastic bumpers came out, they had to pivot and keep their businesses alive. So they became plastic repair experts. They were some of the early purchasers of Jim's new airless plastic welder. And Jim also created some primers and fillers and things, flexible materials to repair plastic bumpers. So anyway, coming through the 2000s, one of our salespeople, Leon Roberts, he was doing some consulting work for a bumper recycler in Philadelphia who was having problems with breakage and so forth. He had, I think, 6 different plastic repair techs. They were working 8 hours a day repairing bumpers. And they were using hot air welding. And he thought that, he tested the welds after they were done, and he would often get returns from the customers with broken welds. So he actually started doing some research and went down to the library and found some kind of research paper that General Electric, back in the 1950s, had discovered that when they were lining their chemical storage tanks with polyethylene and polypropylene sheets, that nitrogen provided a stronger weld on these plastic materials. So he goes, I'll give it a try. So he hooked up nitrogen gas to the hot air welders using a ball valve, a really very primitive method. But he discovered that the comeback rate went down overnight by 50% just by changing the gas.
I really wouldn't have thought that would have made such a big difference.
Exactly. I was skeptical as well, but he proved it out, and our bumper recycling customers actually proved it out in the field. They were so happy with it that we created a course here at Polyvance factory in Alabama to bring recyclers in to learn about this new technique. So that's how it got started in the early 2000s. 2006, we introduced our first nitrogen plastic welder, very crude, again, just with a ball valve between the air and nitrogen. And since then, we're up to our 6th generation nitrogen welder with automatic switching, and it's got some safety things to keep the heating element from burning out. So we've improved the breed as we've gone along, and as we've discovered new, things that we could, that technicians were having trouble with the welder. We tried to address those as we went along.
So for people that are watching this, and I'm sure there's some people that won't, and even possibly later on will probably watch this. Can you give us sort of the key benefits to nitrogen welding versus hot air welding? Because a lot of people, that's all they know, but they don't actually know the benefits between the two or the disadvantages between the two.
Well, they're very similar. I mean, if you know hot air welding, then you can. Nitrogen welding is exactly the same technique. The difference is that you're using a shielding gas to do the weld, so there's no oxygen. As you may know, the air we breathe is 80% nitrogen and 20% oxygen. And the oxygen is what you need to actually create a fire. Okay, so how do you create a fire? You need a source of fuel, you need heat, and you need oxygen. If you don't have the oxygen, there's no fire. So basically, when you're welding with hot air, the oxygen in the air will burn the plastic, oxidize the plastic, which could cause contamination of the weld and make it for a weaker weld. When you weld with a shielding gas, especially nitrogen or a dry shielding gas with no water vapor, no oxygen, you're melting the plastic cleanly with a shielding gas, so there's no oxidation of the weld. You're getting a more pure weld. It's kind of like MIG welding. If you try MIG welding without argon gas, argon CO2, you get spatters. It just doesn't work very well. It's not quite to that level, but it does offer a stronger weld when you repair with nitrogen.
Right. So that's what it's really about, is just giving a much purer weld.
Yeah, the strength. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is something that I'm seeing more and more, and people sort of asking me about and need to become more aware of, especially now, is ADAS. And I saw you just commented on someone on LinkedIn's post about it, and repairs and bumpers, because we're in a catch-22 here, really. We're trying to reduce the amount of throwaway plastic waste in the world, but yet we're supposedly not allowed to repair a bumper that's got an ADAS sensor behind there. Doesn't matter how well you do that weld, or and how little filler or product that you actually use in there. And in some welds you can just put the plastic back in it, and there's actually no skim or filler in there, just a bit of primer. So what are your thoughts on that, and how do you see this changing in the future?
Yeah, good point, Wayne. That's a very topical thing. The ADAS, I think the one that in the article that Nick wrote, Nick Dominato,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, referring to the radar sensors that are often mounted on the rear quarter of the car for cross-traffic monitoring or for blind spot monitoring. Those are actually projecting radar through the plastic, like a radome on the front of our airplane. So it's very important, of course, for the calibration of that sensor to be passing through a consistent thickness of material and a consistent material. So and also the OEMs usually have some guidelines as, hey, don't repair the bumper in this area. Okay, and it does vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Sometimes they will actually spell out a radius around it. Or sometimes they just have a blanket say, hey, no repairing of this at all. So Polyvance, we always, the first thing you need to do as a technician is to research the OEM repair guidelines. And if it says no repair, then don't repair. Okay, so if it doesn't have guidelines, then you have to go back to common sense. And our guidelines are, okay, if it's a radar sensor, don't repair that area. You may have to just discard the bumper and get a new bumper. But if it's outside the radius where the radar is passing through, then I think it should be available to repair that. So that's what we promote that, try to make it common sense. And like you say, I think it's a equally topical thing that the environmental concerns. Okay, so you have all these plastic bumpers that have like an inch-long tear and it's being thrown in the landfill, and that's a waste too. So we need to find that balance between safety and environmental responsibility.
Yeah, and it doesn't even come down to a tear because it can be as simple as a scuff. They won't allow you to paint over a scuff because it has to be basically from a brand new bumper, and that's what they recommend. And it's almost £1,000 for the bumper without any paintwork. And I just wonder how this is going to, a customer is not going to spend £1,000. I don't know how that it works in the States here. Stuff like that doesn't tend to go through insurance. They pay it for themselves.
Right.
And so I don't really know. And I can't seem to get a straight answer for it, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. But it is topical, like you said. I had somebody come in and ask me a question saying sort of, how can you differentiate when you come in to repair a plastic? How do you know what plastic you're repairing? Is there a quick telltale sign, or do you have to take it off? I know that bumpers normally will have the plastic, or most plastic parts will have it imprinted onto the part. But can you, with all your experience, can you sort of look at a bumper and say, right, I know that is PPP, ABS, whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in being in a situation where we promote plastic welding, it's very important to identify the plastic material before you actually start the repair process. If you are using an adhesive, you can probably get away with not so complete identification. But it's pretty simple if you are able to get the part off of the vehicle. Obviously, if you look for the ID symbol on the backside, I would say if it's a late model car, chances are very good it's a polypropylene blend. If it's a 70s, 80s car, especially domestic United States, you're looking at a lot of urethane. And urethane, if you see, even if you don't take the bumper off the car, if you see in the cracked area that it's yellow, you know it's urethane. But of course, not all urethanes are yellow. Most of them are. There are some gray urethanes as well. So that's when we do recommend that you remove the bumper from the car and identify it from the symbol. Now, there are some plastics. I've got an old 1986 Porsche 944 myself, and the bumper does not have an ID symbol on the back side. It's a black urethane. So in that case, then I break out the airless plastic welder, and I'll just do a test weld on the back side. Also, if you take the hot welder tip, if you get this nice and hot, and you lay it on the back side of the bumper, and if it's urethane, it'll bubble and smoke immediately. That means you're breaking down the plastic.
Yeah, it just fizzles away, doesn't it? There's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when it cools, it'll stay sticky. So that means you've actually broken down the material. If it's a polypropylene or another thermoplastic, it'll melt cleanly and it'll resolidify. So that's just a couple of things. We've got a book of plastic repair has a chart, or actually a flow chart, that shows you the different steps on how to identify plastics.
So is that something that's purchasable? Because I know you've also got an app, and there's a lot of information on your app that people can download and access as well.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, we have the Polyvance app, and we also have the book of plastic repair, which we have a hard copy. If you're in the United States, I can mail it to you, or you can just download it from our website. Just look for in the documents section on our website. You can just download the book, and it'll have all of those things in there for you.
That's great. Okay, so and also just to answer a few people who might be watching this. So if you've ever tried to hot staple a urethane bumper, a PUR bumper, the staples will not go in there. It'll just fizzle out. So don't even try and do a repair using the stapler. So my next question was actually a bit about the machines, but we've actually covered that. So that's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the key benefits? Yep, done that one. With your nitrogen hot air welder that we've just sort of spoken about, what does it come with? What's part of the kit? Because you've got various different models, haven't you?
Yeah, the top end kits, we've got two that are our digital models. They're digital temperature control system. They have a variable flow control with an analog flow gauge, so you can actually tell how much flow you have going through the nozzle, which I think is very important, because sometimes when you're welding very thin plastic, you want to make sure that it's turned down. You don't want to blow a hole through the plastic or distort it unnecessarily. And if you're welding a thicker plastic, like maybe a heavy truck side panel, you want to turn it up some. So this gives you a way to gauge how much airflow you got going through there. And the latest model welders also have a safety feature, so that if the airflow or the pressure drops to a certain point, it'll automatically cut the power off to the heating element to prevent your heating element from burning up. So that's another feature. Also, the digital model has an automatic air to nitrogen switch. So when I'll show you here.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
This is the torch for the heating element, and once this gets hot, it's like a high temp heat gun or a hair dryer. It's glowing red hot. So if you don't have gas flow through here, you could burn up the heating element. Right. So when you're not actually welding, there's no need to use the bottle of nitrogen welding, bottle of gas. So when the torch is in the holster, it's going to automatically blow air, and when you pick it up out of the holster, then it's going to switch to nitrogen automatically. So that's on our model that has the nitrogen tank, and then we also have another model. The top of the line model has got a nitrogen generator, so you don't have to worry about the switch at all.
Okay. And what other bits of kit does it come with it? Is there a hot stapler on that?
No, ours don't come with
welder.
It comes with an airless welder. Yes, exactly. It comes with an airless welder, so you can weld the urethane, and you can also smooth the weld. It comes with I think 21 different varieties of plastic welding rod in these organizer boxes.
I've got some of those. Yeah, I got
yeah,
those last year. They're brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. And we've got even more. I mean, we have 21 different varieties of materials of welding rod. So I kind of feel like we're probably the world's most complete supplier of plastic welding rod in terms of materials, profiles, colors, and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we have that, and we also comes with aluminum tape. Some of the accessories.
Can I just stop you on the aluminum tape? Because I did a repair today and I used some aluminum tape. So for people who don't know about aluminum tape, can you explain what the benefits of that are in doing a plastic repair? Yeah,
well, it's mainly just to fixture the parts together while you do the repair. So we would normally put the aluminum tape on the outer surface of the cosmetic surface, say here, and then you would prep and weld the backside first normally. And then once the weld is cool, then you peel the tape off and do it on the front. So for the most part, the tape is just there to support it. It's also more temperature resistant than maybe a duct tape or something, or masking tape. So it's not going to give away. And that's really important when you're welding a thin tab or a mounting tab where you're trying to span your weld across a gap. You have some nice support underneath from a thick aluminum tape. You're going to get a nice repair. If you have something underneath that kind of gives away with the heat, then it's going to compromise your repair.
Yeah, I find that. I think the aluminum tape is for such a very thin piece of material, it's extremely robust and holds everything exactly where you want it. It can be a bugger to remove, but it's a brilliant product. Yeah, takes you quite a while to take it off. So you've got quite a few. We're going to be joined in about 10-20 minutes by Joe, by Perfection Plastics, who's a brilliant guy, and I've got a few questions that we can ask him about that. But you've got some other really great products that I've sort of seen pop up recently. So you've got the, and this was actually one of the questions, somebody wanted to know how to repair mold, the tabs on bumpers or headlights and things like that. And so you've got a Tab Magic molding putty. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a new product. And I think I tried to send some to you, Wayne, but it got lost in the mail. I apologize about that.
COVID.
But basically, it's a two-part silicone rubber. So what you do is it's a green side and a white side. You mix them together. You knead them together like Play-Doh, and then you press it onto the pattern, the part you want to recreate, and let it cure. It takes, I think, about 10 minutes or so to cure, and you peel it off. It remains flexible. It is a thermoset material, so it's not going back to components again. So you've got a mold that is kind of a permanent mold you can make. And initially, our idea was that we could use it on the top side of a headlight tab repair. So you know how some of the headlights have got the little waffles in there, or the gussets and so forth, the details on the top that make it difficult to repair.
Yes.
And refinish. So, you know, if a vehicle owner pops the hood and they look down and they see a big glob of welding rod on one tab, and they say, what's going on here? This doesn't look right. So the intent is to make it easy for the technician to restore the appearance of a headlight tab, if it's a visible headlight tab. So you push this, you make a mold on the top side, you push it down, and then you do all your repair work from the back side. You weld the nitrogen welder on the back side, and the silicone putty, or the Tab Magic, keeps the melted plastic from blowing through or distorting the appearance on the top side. So it's kind of complicated. We do have, if you look up part number 6225 on our website, it shows you exactly how to use this product, and it shows a complete headlight tab repair. We've got 2 or 3 of those now that show the complete headlight tab repair with the Tab Magic putty. But since we have that, we've discovered other uses for it. And like, we also have this product called the Bumper Pliers Kit, where it's got a little thing that comes through the rectangular slot tab. It prevents melted plastic from filling it. Did I send you one of those?
Yeah, and it was brilliant. I've only had a couple come in through the workshop, but each one, it's worked absolutely fantastic.
Well, I'm glad it did, but we only have 6 of those little tabs. Yeah. It doesn't fit all of them exactly.
No.
So with the Tab Magic putty, you can make your own. For example, the Chevy Cruze here in the States has got its kind of a elongated one that's a little bit not quite rectangular. Well, you can take the Tab Magic putty and make a perfect impression of this part, and you'll have that permanently. And it's also, being a silicone rubber, it's heat resistant. So you can actually use it as a backer for your weld too. You can add it can be a mold for your weld. So we're finding more uses for it now.
So if you explain this, because this is something I couldn't quite understand myself when I looked at it. So you've got your mold, you've taken your mold. Now that part is missing totally. If you managed if you've taken it from, say, the other side, or
maybe another bumper.
Yeah. How would you then replicate that part in the mold? Is it, because normally if you have a mold, you're pouring a product in there, it would set, and then you've got your replacement tap. It doesn't work like that with yours, then, I'm guessing.
It's kind of like making a female mold. So you would you'd have to create a pattern on an undamaged area, or say that the tab next to it was not damaged. You could take a mold of it, and then it would be your female mold for the repair. I haven't got any videos on that one, unfortunately, but that's something that we're going to be working on to develop more. And I think Joe, who will be on here in a minute with us, has found some even more creative uses for the Tab Magic. So hopefully he'll talk about it too. Yeah,
we'll get him on shortly. Let's a couple of more things, then we'll get him on. So with regards to your Plasfix as well, that's a relatively new product that you've been, or I've just recently seen you using it more and more, or promoting it more and more. What's that all about? Yeah.
Yeah, it actually dates way back to early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a methacrylate I mean, liquid nails, powder and liquid. The liquid is actually a liquid monomer, and the powder precipitates the reaction. So it's not, a lot of people look at the videos and they say, oh, that's just baking powder and super glue, you know, but it's not. It actually creates an acrylic plastic that works extremely well on ABS. So actually, that's my preferred method of repair on ABS. I'd like you to try it sometime, Wayne, because it actually chemically melts into or softens the base material. It's not just an adhesive that actually softens it up. So you get a very, very strong bond, and you can inlay fiberglass cloth or even stainless steel mesh if you want to reinforce it. Expandable, just a really nice repair. It's not instant. It takes about 30, 45 minutes for it to get rock hard, but it's been growing actually in popularity. I think we had one of our videos on our YouTube channel kind of went viral, and a lot of people picked up on that product. It's been kind of going around in the forums, and some of these motorcycle repair forums especially. Yeah. So yeah, that's a nice product for ABS, but it wouldn't be at all usable on polypropylene.
That probably would have been good for that little micro car I had to do, and I had to use the airless welder for that.
Oh, okay.
That was a massive job.
or that Yamaha tail section on the motorcycle.
That would have been interesting. So does it maintain its flexibility as well?
Well, no, it's rigid. So it's kind of the same rigidity as ABS.
Right. Okay. So there can't be any flex in the area that you're, because some ABS there is a bit of flex in there. So
somewhat. No, I think that more depends on the contours of the part itself, right? So that tail section on the motorcycle wouldn't have much flex. But if it's a large part of maybe a lot of RVs, recreational vehicles will have thermosec. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say, the molding process is just a one-sided mold. What do they call it again? I can't remember right now. But yeah, those parts can be quite flexible too. So it'll conform to the flexibility of most ABS plastics.
Okay, that's great. I also saw that you, and this is probably an old product, but you had a picture of a kayak with a UV fast patch.
Oh, actually, it's a brand new product we just came out with. Yeah, we've had a kayak and canoe welder for many, many years, polyethylene, but you have to have access to a place to plug it in and melt the plastic and that sort of thing. And I can't remember where the idea came from, but for somebody who had a kayak and was going down the river and hit a rock and all of a sudden they've got a 1-inch tear in their hull, we don't have any quick fix for that. So this is actually a quick fix for not only that, and amazingly, it sticks fairly well to polyethylene, which you would think that would be the case. But it can be used for a wide variety of things. So basically, it's flexible. It's got self-adhesive. So you peel the self-adhesive side off, you stick it and conform it to the shape of the thing you're trying to repair, and then you expose it to sunlight, preferably. And within, 10 minutes, it's cured rock hard. It conforms exactly to the substrate, and it's makes about, I would say, a very good temporary or something, maybe even permanent repair. But that's just another item that we came up with just to add to all of our other plastic repair products.
So I had a fellow ring me, I don't know, about a month and a half ago, and he had a tractor and he was plowing up the field and a stick came up and punctured his tank. So would that have sealed his fuel tank?
No, no. It is self-adhesive on the outside of a polyethylene, so that wouldn't work again. But the nitrogen weld or the airless weld of polyethylene is the way to go on that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he couldn't get it to me in time, and so I was just wondering if that was like somebody had that in their toolbox or something as an emergency fix, just to continue plowing. Or
no, I wouldn't think that the adhesive would stand up to the fuel on the inside.
Yeah. And also, you've just come out with, and I believe this is the right product number, 6119, the Dent Driver. So to take out little dents and put the shape back into bumpers.
Yeah, that's we came out with a couple of items to help technicians remove dents from bumpers, and I know you do a lot of the videos. And congratulations! First of all, I want to say how great your videos are, Wayne.
Thank you.
You not only do a fantastic job, your skill level is 3 times higher than mine.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
And you actually produce all these things. I even asked you, Wayne, you must have a team to make all these things. No, you do it yourself. And I don't know when you sleep, but amazing work you do on that. But actually, working out dents, a lot of body shops in America will just, if the bumper's got any kind of dent in it, they just throw it away.
Yeah.
And these are so easy to work out in most cases. So what you do is, of course, you heat the plastic. Most of these are polypropylene. Heat it, push it out with the bumper rollers that we have. And then usually you pop the main part of the dent out. You've got some stretched areas around the rim that you need to push down. So, I mean, a lot of people could use it. You can use a screwdriver handle or a utility knife, but these are little simple plastic tools with different shapes on the ends to help you push those high spots down and low spots up. And the intent of it is to get the whole thing sanded and smoothed out without the use of any filler. So, again, if you'll look at 6119 on our website, we've got a video showing exactly the whole dent removal process.
Yeah, it's a great tool. So check those out, guys. Should we invite Joe to join us?
Sure, of course.
All right.
I haven't seen Joe in a long time.
Let me invite you on. Perfect. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to look for him at the same time. Right, Joe, just sent you an invite. So Joe is actually sat in his car. He's taken some time off work to join us. So let us just hope he's going to join on. Should work.
I met Joe for the first time at the Northeast Auto Body Show in New York about 3 or 4 years ago, and he's very passionate about plastic repair. He's got his own cult following. I think that all these Volkswagen guys that are fixing up their cars, they send their parts to Joe.
Yeah, he and his work is amazing. Joe, I've just sent you a request. You should see it on the bottom right of your screen. So, or you can try and send me a request. You should see it there. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that he puts out, and he is, for me, I would say he's probably the guru of PUR welding for sure, because some of the stuff that he's got coming into his shop.
He sent me one today that he was making the urethane lip on the bottom of somebody's spoiler, and he just Frankensteined a bunch of little pieces of urethane and used the urethane welding rod to kind of make it. I don't know how much time it took him, but he's definitely taken our products and pushed them to beyond the limits. And I think that's another thing that, most collision repair techs would never do anything like that. But if you're doing custom work, I mean, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I don't know what's happened here. So we're having some issues. Yeah, Joe, I've sent you a request. It looks like there is obviously a platform issue still wrong with Instagram. And unfortunately, I can't get you to join, Joe. So just... Well,
you need to have another session with Joe, just you and he, because he's very very enthusiastic about plastic repair and has taken our products specifically and has gone, like I said, well beyond what a normal collision repair tech would do.
Absolutely, and he's got the tabs that he's developed and some 3D printing. There's loads of different things. He's going to try and reboot and see if that makes any difference. So I'm going to just cancel that request and wait for him to send another one. So I was going to talk to Joe when he joined us, but we can touch on it now, is the airless welder. Now, you kindly sent me, I actually, I bought an airless welder, one of your airless welders, and it was probably about 10 years ago. And I used it, but I didn't understand the potential of it. And he's just sent me another one. Let's just see if I can see him here. No, Joe, it's not working at all, my friend. There's obviously a problem here. So I didn't understand and it kind of got put aside, and I don't even know what happened to it. And then last year, you sent me out another one for a project that I had going on. And I've absolutely come to love that machine. I think it is brilliant, and it's enabled me to do a lot of jobs that I would not have been able to do.
Yeah, that's well, I appreciate that, Wayne. It's really amazingly, after 40 years in business, this is still one of the foundations of this company. It's one of our top 4 selling products. I think every body shop in America has got one, and now I think that Amazon is kind of getting it out there to the do-it-yourselfers in the world too, and they're finding all sorts of uses for it. But it's basically the same kit that we sold that Jim invented 40 years ago. It's got a heating element, and we got a new ceramic core heating element. We do have a different tip on there that you can kind of see. It's got a little teardrop shape.
Yep.
We also have the old classic one that has the foot with a little hole in it. So
yep.
That's another thing. And it's got a variable temperature control here that you can dial it to the setting.
Yep. Sorry, just
yeah.
I'm just going to answer Joe, and then I'd like you to zoom in on that. Joe, look, yeah. I'm really sorry we can't get you on here, but I'm going to get you back on the show, and it'll be just you and me. But if you can hang on with us and answer some questions and just put some chit chat there like you're doing, that's really good. And I feel so bad that you can't do this, but your information you're sharing with us is excellent. So, Kurt, can you just hold that up just for people who haven't seen the actual transformer on there? So the transformer itself, as you said, it's got different temperature settings on it. And so for people who are probably new to this, you can actually you can use that dial to learn how to weld and get it at the right temperature, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is very important to get the temperature right on at least a couple of different kinds of plastics. The urethane and also the ABS are temperature sensitive, so if you have it too high, you're not going to get good results. But the polypropylene and most of the other plastics are less sensitive to the heat. And we also have the universal rods. This is the product that we released when we took over the business in '95 that made it easier to repair the polypropylene bumpers that were becoming more popular at the time. So the TPO and polypropylene bumpers, you know, they don't all have the same composition. Okay, there might be a little more synthetic rubber in there. There might be some mineral fillers. There might be some other things in there that. So none of them are exactly the same. So if you use the straight polypropylene welding rod to weld all of those, you may get maybe not so good results. So the FiberFlex allowed technicians of that era to repair the polypropylene bumpers that were becoming more popular in a much easier fashion. It's a hot melt glue as well. It doesn't actually melt together with the base material. Mm-hmm. So this kit gives you a lot of different options for repairing just about any kind of plastic on the vehicle. And like I said, do-it-yourselfers now are learning about this product, and you get farmers fixing their sprayer tanks, and you get ATVers fixing their fenders. So there's lots of different uses for this material. I mean, for this welder.
And you've kindly agreed to give one of these away on a giveaway that we're going to do.
Yes, we'd love to give away one of these, and we have a 230-volt version. It is CE approved, so we can sell it anywhere in the world. So. I'm not sure how you pick the winner.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably on Friday, I'm going to launch it. I'll put some pictures and some little videos on how it works, and we'll get some people to follow you. If they want to enter, they have to follow me, and they'll have to come up with a comment, and then we'll just draw a lucky winner. I think that's the best way. So that's a really good prize, and I appreciate you doing that. So if somebody is just starting out into the plastic welding, smart repair, collision repair industry, and they want to get a welder, but budget is tight, what would you suggest? Would you say go for the airless welder? Would you go for something like, I've seen that you've had the Steinel on some of your posts before, a hot air gun. What would be your advice?
Yes, I think the airless welder would be the best way to start because it's more versatile. The only trade-off is the speed and the strength. So it's not as fast and the results aren't as strong, but at least it gets you started. And then I think.
But Kurt, if you have time lapse, it's super fast.
Yeah, exactly. Your time lapse, it makes it go by really quick. Yeah. But that product is our most versatile one, and also the price point at $330 or so is. I mean, you can make your money back in the first one or two repairs. So once you get that started, of course, you'll need some accessory items, and Polyvance sells the entire range from cleaners, adhesion promoters, primers, fillers, everything that shop would need to repair plastic. And then once they got that going, then you would probably consider the purchase of a nitrogen welder because that is going to give you the faster and stronger welder.
Yeah, so that's your first step. Make the money, reinvest it, move up to a slightly bigger machine.
Yep.
My next question was for Joe, but unfortunately he's not here. So Joe, we're definitely going to get you back for sure. So have we got anything new coming out that we can look forward to seeing from you?
Well, we are working on the next generation nitrogen welder. The problem right now is our nitrogen welding system is not we can't sell it in Europe because we don't have the CE mark, which is necessary to sell it there. So the barrier right now is that the control system, it's possible for the handle to get hot enough to burn your hand in some extreme situation.
Right.
So we actually, the next generation welder will have a thermocouple embedded in the handle, and that if it gets too hot, it'll automatically cut the power off to the heating element. So that's what we're working on. I'm not sure exactly when it will be done. We were kind of hoping for the Auto Mechanica show in Germany in September, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to make that or not. But that's a big point for us because we would like to be able to introduce our products to people around the world. I mean, right now, the whole EU and the UK, we can't sell it. But we hope to solve that in the next one. So that's one thing. Also, in the US, we've discovered a little niche with Kenworth Hoods. Kenworth trucks are a big heavy truck.
Yeah.
And their hoods are made of a meton material, and the design is poor and it breaks the meton. So we've come up with some repair kits for the Kenworth, and the last quarter it was about 7% of our total sales. So that's becoming an important part of our mix.
So how's that working?
Very well. Yeah, I mean, and we keep finding out more opportunities because we started with the Kenworth T800, specific problem on it. Then we went and created one for the W900, and now the T880 model has even got a more common kind of problem that we've got a solution for now. So, and we're introducing another one here in the next couple of months. So that wouldn't be applicable for your viewers in the EU or UK, but
no. For
the US market, the Kenworth trucks are all over the place. So this is a good repair for those.
Okay. Someone just sent in painter_duck. He said, if he entered the competition and won, would you send it to Brazil?
If he entered the competition?
Yeah, to win the airless welder.
Would I send him to Brazil? That might be a little bit. Yeah, I would definitely send the welder to Brazil, though, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a worldwide competition that's open to anybody.
Yeah, just let me know what the voltage is in your country, and we can get it out to you, yes.
All right, you guys can't ask for better than that. It is a fantastic welder that Kurt and the team are putting out. So, I just got distracted there because we were talking about the Kenworth. We were talking about...
Yeah, some of the new products. I think you asked me about the new products that are coming out with.
No, and then we were talking about Auto Mechanica being sort of up and down. So how have you found the last year with COVID and sort of marketing your products and getting stuff out there? Because I know a couple of shows have been cancelled, haven't they? You haven't been able to go to places.
Yeah, I mean, everything was canceled last year. Right now, the Northeast Auto Body Show, which is in New York, that got postponed until September, I think. And SEMA is now scheduled for November, so I think that's going to happen. Things are opening up here. Thankfully, the numbers are going down. People have gotten their vaccines more and more now. So I feel like in the summer, later in the year, we're going to be back to face-to-face conventions. But yeah, last year was a challenge for everybody. Yeah, Auto Mechanica got postponed. SEMA did this virtual version, but it wasn't anywhere close to the real thing. So yeah, we're looking forward to the real thing.
Yeah, the real thing, you can't beat it, can you?
No.
Brilliant. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I'm really pleased to have had you on the show, and I appreciate you putting the time because this has been quite new technology to you. So if anybody wants to see any of the Polyvance kit, their Instagram page is starting to fill up with loads of helpful videos. You're also big on YouTube, aren't you?
Yeah, YouTube is big for us. We have a lot of content on YouTube that we've produced a lot of videos, and now John Wilburn, our head trainer, is doing a series of what we call plastic pointers, like quick videos, kind of like you do, inspired by Wayne Goodmore. So we're just doing all focused on plastic repair. That's all we do. And Wayne, you're multi-talented. You can do anything in the inside or the outside of the car. So I envy your talent, but we really just focus on the plastic repair ourselves.
Yeah, and I think your videos are really good. So John's videos are to the point, easy to follow. You can pick up on it. The filming is done really well. So it's a really good sort of reference point if you want to see something about plastic repairs and products that are out there. Definitely head over there. My final question for you then, Kurt, and I'll let you get on with the day, is have you got a tip you can share with us?
A tip we can share with you. Wow. Now, I do have one thing I haven't showed you yet, and I don't know, Wayne, you're probably very good at this, but I do have a product that, we have, and we've been getting more and more questions about this from our insurance companies and body shops. They're saying, hey, the insurance companies are trying to get us to repair this textured plastic now. So we have got a product, and I don't know if you can see it well here, but this shows the repair process. So you see the damaged texture here, sanded, primed, and then we have our texture material here.
Yeah, we can see the texture quite well. Yeah.
We have a nice texture material, Flextex Vt, and this is it's a variable texture, so it comes heavy in the can. So when you spray it with a primer gun, unreduced, it gives you like a kind of a very coarse texture, almost like a rock guard texture. Right. But you can reduce it with lacquer thinner. We also have a zero VOC reducer for areas that require a low VOC refinish. And you can make a finer texture, a medium or fine grain texture too. So it kind of opens up the ability to, I don't know if you can see that, maybe I'll get the gloss. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's just sprayed on there. And then, so again, we're just trying to keep damaged plastics out of the landfill as much as possible. So, and a lot of times if those things get scratched or scuffed, the body shops just throw them away.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that product then, because you've thrown that one into the mix and I wasn't expecting that. So what's your repair process on that? What's your prepping to get to paint, and what's the adhesion like?
Oh, well, the adhesion,
okay, I don't doubt it, but I have to ask the question.
Well, no, it doesn't, the adhesion's not inherent in the product. You would have to use an adhesion promoter. So what you would do is, say you're damaged and scuffed textured plastic here, you would sand it with, I usually like to sand it with just 320 grit just to knock the tops off the little bumps. Yeah. And then use an adhesion promoter. We've got one called Plastic Magic. Spray that on, let it flash for about 10 minutes. Then we got this is our waterborne primer surfacer that would create a coating over the raw plastic. And after that dries, you would sand it with 320 grit. And then you actually create the texture from scratch. And then if you can see that. Yeah. So the textures it's actually, we have to actually do training with painters, because painters tend to want to flow it on with a nice slow pass, and they're flowing it out like a clear coat. You don't want to do that with the Flextex. What you're trying to do with Flextex is kind of speckle it on. Yeah. Little droplets, but the droplets, you don't want the droplets to kind of merge together and start to wet out. So what you do is you spray light coats and you let it flash for 5 minutes, come back and spray another one. So usually 3 or 4 light coats is what you get. And that gives you that textured appearance. So it's really pretty simple, but an experienced painter who just has to kind of modify their habitual process. Yep. Can you just hold that tin up for us once more? Because there's somebody who just wanted to see it and he didn't catch the name. No, the actual product. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, and sadly for our friends in the EU and UK, that we can't sell this over there because. And that product, you said you actually put your adhesion promoter on, and then you put an additional coat on that, like a sealer or something? No, it's a primer surfacer. We've got a waterborne primer. Okay. Waterborne primer. Yeah, it's a sandable primer surfacer. So 1K, and that's another nice thing. It's a flexible waterborne. Dries very quick if you have some airflow over it, so you can sand it pretty quickly, and sands very nicely. So that's a great product for general bumper repair. And really the texturing process is just one extra step at the very end. Instead of spraying a sealer and a base clear, you just spray the textured material on. All right. So now you have just like loads of questions have just come because you just mentioned new products. And I'm just checking the time because we've only got 6 minutes left. So what about UV products? Are you going to be looking at some UV repair products? Because I'm really into my UV curing. So is that something that you're going to dive into, or are you going to, at the moment, not interested? I'm impressed. I've really gotten impressed with videos you've done, Wayne, on the UV, the products you use. I love the putty that you have with the UV. Yeah. I have looked into it. I haven't really thoroughly investigated the product, because I don't think that's something that we can create. And then if I have to buy it from somebody else, then the profit margins may not be there for me, and also all the other distributors we have in line. So I've got to,
it's not Polyvance, is it? It's not. Yeah.
We got to be able to make it, and then it's possible maybe I can come up with a formulation for it. We can make it ourselves. And then the other thing is the UV lamps. I don't think they're quite as popular in the U.S. as they are over there, but I love the idea of it, and I know that that's an area we need to look into.
Okay, something to watch for the future. So
yeah,
that's it. I think we've had, I've learned a lot. I've really thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, Kurt. So thank you so much.
Likewise, Wayne. Thank you very much. I'm really, again, impressed with your videos. I'll keep watching, and let me know who I need to send that welder out to.
Yeah, well, I'll tag you in all of that, and I'll give you a WhatsApp call anyway when it's all up, and we'll have a chat next week. And then we'll load that up on Friday. I'm not quite sure whether it's going to just run for the weekend or if it's going to run into for a week. I'm not quite sure. So I'll work all that out, tag you, Polyvance, and there's going to be one really lucky winner for that.
You bet. We'd love to send it out to them and get another person out there repairing more plastic.
Yeah, and Joe, you're still on here. Thank you so much for all your contribution on the text messages. I'm sorry you couldn't join you, and bizarrely someone else has requested, but it's not you. But we will get Joe on here and catch up with him, because he's an amazing repairer as well. So thank you. Have a lovely day.
Okay.
And we'll catch you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.